On today's episode of Kilts and Culture with USA Kilts, we go a Viking with Highland Park Scotch. Okay.
Oh, hey.
Hi. Didn't see you there.
Oh, that is incredibly cheesy.
Oh, I know.
Don't ever do that again.
Oh, we can edit that part out. Hey. Okay.
Welcome to USA Kilts. Kilts and Culture, Q&A. I'm Erik.
I'm
is
Rocky. Yes.
And we're here to answer your questions.
Absolutely.
But first...
That felt weird now.
I know. That's why I did it. I know, I did it just to try to kind of change it up.
Now I'm all thrown off.
Let's see. Today, we have a special treat. In honor of our new Viking product line, we are going to go a Viking with a special try, which is... Rocky, will you do the reveal, please?
Highland Park Scotch. This is a Scotch from the Orkney Islands. They are very, very heavily leaned into their Viking heritage. That is all their marketing stuff is all Viking, rah-rah.
Even more so now. They've really leaned into it heavily.
Yeah, they've been around for quite a long time. They weren't as... Like the last bottle I had, which was from several years ago, wasn't quite as straight up Viking as this is, with all the Viking marketing. So we're going to try the Scotch, and we're going to talk about their marketing a little bit.
Yeah, we figure what the heck, because we just brought out a line of kilt pins and a buckle and sporrans, which we decided to put on.
Yeah.
For the show. Yeah. A little bit of self-promotion, couldn't help it. And it just seemed like an opportune... Yes, and t-shirts.
Yep.
It seemed like an opportune time to do it.
Yes.
Right?
So, without further ado, let's get to drinking.
There you go.
All right.
It's a very Viking
if
thing
you
to
would.
do.
Exactly. Yes. All right. Now, the oft sought after, the highly coveted, the beautiful USA Kilts Scotch glasses. Mm-hmm. 1 and 2. And for those wondering, Mac has his Scotch behind the camera as well.
Yep. Mac is with us.
He is pre-poured, but for the movie magic. It's too slow. Oh, and it's backwards.
It's backwards. Okay.
Oh, boo.
Well, the box is backwards. I didn't pack it. You packed it. Ta-da. Okay.
I cocked the back. Packed the box backwards as I handed
one of those
it to
days,
you.
folks.
Yes.
Okay. I'm going to let you do the pouring.
Okay. The bottle itself is actually pretty awesome as far as Scotch bottles go.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
It is it's a glass bottle, obviously, but it's like it has raised. I don't know how well you can see this. It actually has raised panels, or not panels, but raised
relief,
but it's not relief. It's raised.
Yeah.
The opposite of relief. Raised, like, Viking knotwork and all that kind of stuff. It has their logo on there. It's actually pretty cool. Mm-hmm. If you collect Scotch bottles, I know some people do. This would be one that I would collect just for the cool factor.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And if you're like me, then you'd recycle it as a mead bottle. But it's funny, they similar styles on the box. They're using a later runestone and stave church design. It's called Yelling, I think. Basically 10th through 12th century. It's one of the latest Viking art styles. Those of you who know better than I, correct me, as usual. But it's the more twisty it gets, the later in history, or more recent in history it is, basically. The fancier stuff is actually usually towards the end of the Viking era. Before
you put this away, we'll read a bit of the notes on the back, the cheat sheet for the person in the store. Intensely balanced single malt Scotch whiskey, perfect harmony of aromatic smoky peat and the flavors of sweet heather honey, and rich fruitcake, smooth, full, and rounded. It's a whiskey that truly stands apart.
Not a lot of heather on the Orkneys, is there?
There's not a lot of like smoky, peaty Scotches coming from the Orkneys outside. That's more the Isla thing, but they may have just tried to balance it as a flavor profile.
Yeah. Okay.
Even though it's not, indicative of an Orkney. I don't know how many Scotches are on Orkney, so
this might be the only one.
Yeah,
we'll have to look at that.
Who knows?
Mac, what did you find out about the company?
Let's see. So,
thank you.
I think Rocky pretty much summarized it already as far as what the company is here. They are from the Orkneys, as Rocky did say.
Mac, if you want, pour a little bit of water in just to open it up.
Yep. Gotcha.
Like a tablespoon or so.
So it says right on their page, our whiskey, like our island home, is shaped by the wild climate and stormy seas, and by the Vikings who settled here over 1,000 years ago, leaving their mark on our people and our culture.
True dat. Okay.
Indeed.
All right.
Okay. So without further ado, we shall try Highland Park Scotch.
Let's go. Well, I definitely get the honey thing.
Yeah.
It is very sweet tasting, especially coming from Iowa stuff. It's very sweet.
Yeah. I'd still get the smokiness and peatiness.
There's some smokiness.
Yeah.
It's much more toned down though. It's not as in your face. It's not like a house on fire, like we said.
It's still more than most. More than like a regular Highland Scotch or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I definitely feel the honey.
Yeah, the honey. I think the honey almost hits you first.
Yeah.
You agree? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think the honey is the most prominent part of the flavor.
I'll say this: it tastes a little bit different with the water.
Oh, you've had it straight up. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's kind of that's why you put a little water.
Yeah.
in your
Usually,
Scotch.
I drink neat. Not that I'm a snob or something. I usually just don't have distilled water right there, or purified water.
I think a lot of snobs would tell you have to have it with water too. It's just like everything Scottish.
It's
There's
a
going to be
weird
5
thing.
different opinions on it.
Of course, you put 2 Scots in a room, you get 3 opinions.
Exactly.
The there's a bit of a contentious thing about it for either you do or you don't, or no, that's how it was. You came out in a bottle, that's how you should have it. Kind of thought process versus no, it opens it up and it kind of blends it, and
I do like it. I do like it. Sure, hand me the box back.
I think when you get when I added a little bit of water to this one now, when I opened it, when I added the water, I get a little bit more of the orange flavor that it has in it as well. I'm noting that.
like a citrus note.
Yeah, there's Seville oranges are as part of the flavors.
Seville orange. Okay.
Ooh.
Yeah, honey heather,
Seville.
rich fruit cake,
Sevilla.
winter spices, Seville oranges, and the smoky peat. And it says on their website to try this with venison or chocolate ginger biscuits.
Chocolate ginger biscuits. I got those. I got those at the convenience store.
Exactly.
Yeah, those are easy.
Soft cheeses such as French brie. And
Yes.
they're even saying to try it with Japanese sushi or wasabi.
I think it would overpower sushi. Well, if you,
I don't know.
I guess you could
with the wasabi.
No, I could see it. I could see it with sushi, but I'd have another drink as well.
Because when I think of Vikings, I obviously think of
I'd need a lot of
Viking sushi is not for the faint of heart. There's this thing from Iceland called haywire, which is basically pickled Greenland shark, and it basically tastes like urine.
Sounds
Because
delicious.
because you have to. It is filled with uric acid, because that's like antifreeze for fish that live in the Arctic.
Right.
And
right.
in order to make it edible, they have to take the shark and basically put it on these pressing racks and kind of let it ferment and pickle over the winter, just to get out enough of the uric acid so that it's actually not going to kill you. And the result is something that you can eat because you're in Iceland and you don't have a lot of options, but it is horrible.
So when we do the Facebook Live try of that, I will be absent that day. I'm suddenly feeling a cold.
You're not a true Norseman.
Nope.
Speaking of that, these guys really are they're really playing into the whole, Norse ancestry thing. So the side of the box says, I am a reflection of my ancestors and their values. I keep them close and continue to learn, to pass on those values to future generations. My name is all I truly have left. Let it be a legacy of honor. And that's actually a legit Viking thought. So yeah, they're sincere. They're sincere about it.
Well, they're sincere in their marketing of it.
Mm-hmm.
At minimum.
But they did some homework to come up with
Oh,
that.
yeah. No, I don't think that they didn't do homework.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, the cynical me is saying, are they leaning into it because the Viking thing is
it's very
hot
popular
right now? Mm-hmm. Or are they leaning into it because that's who they are and they're just, more...
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah.
I think they've always had the heritage. Like you said, Mac, you said that like a couple of the guys on their website are listed as being actual ancestors of or descendants of original settlers and stuff like that.
Yeah,
so.
the one gentleman was like 32nd great grandfather was like the first lord of Orkney.
Okay.
But
So-
is it the tail wagging the dog? Is it them?
I think they when the Viking thing came back into vogue the last few years, I think they probably just realized, hey, this is tailor made for us to
Yeah, because
to jump on.
the way I'm thinking about, like, they're obviously very proud of Orkney. All the Scotches are very proud of where they're from.
Yeah.
In Scotland. The question is, would they have named it Highland Park
Yeah, no, I think
if it was made today?
Yeah.
Like, are they stuck with the name because that's what they have?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's my, like, Highland Park to me doesn't say
Right.
Viking.
Right. Yeah, the name probably goes back quite a ways. I don't know if Mac found that or not. But
To me, it's more like, the open, the hills and the glens, the the water running through a fresh, wide open park, that kind of thing.
yeah, it sounds like it should be like a glen.
Yeah.
Monarch of the Glen kind of a vibe, kind of like Highland Park. It's like a nature reserve is what comes to mind.
Yeah.
But Orkneys and everything, you think they'd lean into a name like Orkney or like Yelling Dragon, Scotch. I don't know. It doesn't work though.
I'm picturing a yelling dragon is like, ah, like a high pitched shrill.
Yeah, it's different. Yelling is a region, as I recall. But
I don't know.
it's cool. But if you want to celebrate product releases this way more often, I'm all for it.
Sure,
I'm all for it. Yeah.
Yes.
So.
So how do we feel about their marketing?
I think the marketing is actually pretty. I'm biased, obviously, because I'm into this stuff. But I think they did a good job. I think it's cool. I mean, it's not the horned helmets, Yorkie kind of. Yeah, it's not. Yeah,
a Swedish chef does Scotch,
or even Uphelia, which is everybody loves that
Yeah.
festival. But the Viking culture of Uphelia festival is really goofy, kind of by design. And this is not that. They are actually trying to do it sincere justice. They mean it. So
they're.
I'd say it's legit.
I will say this, as far as the marketing for Scotches go, they're much more leaning into an aggro-masculine, testosterone type campaign than most Scotches. Most are more gentlemanly, refined kind of,
There's that.
Yeah.
There's that. So it's more youthful, I think you could say. Scotch is not really associated with Vikings, obviously. So they're definitely trying to reach into something that allows them to differentiate. But that's a challenge that all of the Scotch, all the distilleries have. Is especially now there's foreign competition. Like we've mentioned before, how
Japanese
recently, the Japanese and Aldi markets came out with a top award-winning Scotch recently, and it's like $25 in their supermarket. So I think
we still have to try.
We gotta get.
Yes, if anyone wants to send us a gift, send me Aldi Scotch. I need to try that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard to get here in Pennsylvania because Pennsylvania has really
Stupid
weird,
laws.
antiquated blue laws. But you know what I mean? It's like they're all trying to find a way to differentiate themselves.
Yeah. And
these guys are putting a different twist on it.
Well, that's kind of my point, is that in Scotch, there aren't a lot of differentiators. Like, there's not. The only other one that really jumps out as a different font, a different marketing kind of thing to a degree, is like Ardbeg. They have a really cool original thing, at least the Scotches that I see in the store, which isn't that much. But I'd say that they're doing a good job.
Yeah. Now I'd say if the Scotch were bad and they had all this marketing thrown into it, I'd think a lot less of them. It'd be like all flash, no substance.
Fair.
This is very nice. It's a very well-rounded palate. It's a very well-rounded set of flavors that do complement each other. I was joking about it being intensely balanced. It's like, we're going to balance this intensely, but legit, it is a nice balance.
There's a lot of weight on both sides.
Yeah. We're going to balance the hell out of this. But it's no. In all seriousness, though, it is a good Scotch. It is very tasty. So.
Now I will say this for their marketing: if I'm a guy going into a store, into a state store or whatever, it's a liquor store, and I see a bunch of Scotches and I don't know what I'm looking for,
that's going to stand out.
That's going to stand out.
Hugely, it's going to stand
out.
And
I'm going to look at it and be like, wow, this is tough. I'm tough.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm a Viking. I can do this.
Yeah.
Kind of, man aggro stuff.
Yeah. Now, what's the price point on this versus like the Lafroigan stuff?
I completely forget. I think it's about
one
the
job,
same.
Rocky.
I know. Buying the Scotch, I did it. The I want to say it's like 60-ish.
Okay.
So it's not like
Okay.
over 100, crazy price, but it's not cheap by any stretch.
Yeah.
So yeah, but
Okay.
I will say it is. I will give them the stamp of approval on the intensely balanced line from an aspect of I can definitely taste the honey. It's reasonably intense. I can definitely taste the peat and the smoke and that kind of thing, but it is still reasonably balanced.
Yeah. I would say if you want to introduce somebody to Scotch, this would probably be a good starter.
If you want to introduce them to a peaty, smoky Scotch, this would be a good starter.
Okay.
Peaty, smoky for...
Even less peaty would be better.
Peaty or smoky for anyone, it's kind of an acquired taste, like an IPA, where it's very, very specific flavor profile. So if they don't like it, it would turn them off to all Scotch if they think it's all going to taste like that.
Right.
So I wouldn't necessarily introduce people to it, but if you like Isla Scotches and peaty stuff, then I would definitely try this. It's not a blend, it's a straight Scotch kind of thing, but it balances the honey as well as the smoke and stuff.
Yeah.
Fair.
Cool.
All right, scale of 1 to 10. Mac.
Sorry, I'm catching up on all the comments that are coming in. On a 1 to 10, I'm gonna go 6.
Okay.
6, kind of middle of the road.
Okay.
Now, you tend to like peaty or not peaty?
I go back and forth. Sometimes
I can appreciate that.
It varies.
Okay.
Depends on my mood. Depends on the season too.
Yeah.
But
yeah, winter.
Yeah. I'm actually very pleased with this. I'm going to give it a 7.2.
Okay. It's a good score. The nose is a little bit lighter than the taste.
You're right.
That.
You're right. I was just thinking that, and I didn't articulate it, but it is not a very strong nose.
Yeah. It's a lighter nose, but then you swallow it and it punches you in the mouth. Intense,
like a Viking,
like a balanced, intense athlete, like a gladiator with the big Q-tip things. I don't know.
So like the Viking ship emerging from the fog.
Yeah. Yes.
All about that. Remember, Vikings are pirates. The proper term is Norsemen. To go a Viking is basically to go abroad, to go traveling. So.
I'm going to say 7.8.
Okay.
7.8.
Okay.
I would definitely, if there's a choice of scotches, I would choose this over many others. So it's good. Yeah. We have no idea what we're talking about. We are not Scotch aficionados. It's like drinking.
I'll say, one other last point, and not to drag it out, but
too late.
The honey profile does make it a little more reminiscent of mead, and mead is very much a Norse, Scandinavian, Viking thing. So they kind of have I'm a little surprised they didn't mention that in their marketing.
Well, you only have so much room, and you want to be not
you want to BS
not being
precisely.
Yeah, you want to be precise.
You want to have intensely balanced BS about your product.
Exactly. Intensely, shortly balanced.
Right.
Very good. All right, boys and girls, load in your questions.
Get down to
continue
business.
loading them in, and Mac is going to be our reader.
I call him an MC.
MC? Okay.
Yeah.
Mac will be the MC for today, telling us all of your guys' questions, and we also have some prepared questions ready to go. And I have my breath mint and my coffee and my scotch, so I'm all set.
Oh, that kills me every time.
I'm going to make a single drink that has Icebreaker's mint with coffee profile, but alcoholic scotch flavor. Nice peaty smoke. It's well balanced.
Intensely balanced.
Pile of vomit that I will have.
Oh my goodness. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Questions.
So far we've got a lot of people asking about the shirt that Rocky's wearing. And the accessories you guys have on, the buckles, the sporns, and the kilt pins.
You're able to send them links, I assume.
I am. I'm loading them in as we get
Thank you for the interest. We're like we said before, we're very proud of these. You want to tell the story of how these came about?
Sure. Here's the disclaimer. On this show, we don't like to talk about products too much. We don't want this to be a product-heavy
we're making a big exception today.
Yes. Normally what we like doing is just getting your guys' questions that anyone could ask or anyone would find interest in. So, that way we're adding the most value that we can add or give to the customers or to anyone
To the
who
community.
just wants to watch the videos. That being said, the Fenrir design, we have a buddy named Doug Kavanaugh, who's actually an artist. He's actually kind of local to us. He has a company called Celtic Hammer Club, so check them out. He does Nordic as well as Celtic designs. We were introduced to him through a friend of ours, and
Aiden Crawford.
yes,
Yep.
and this is his kind of signature piece, is his Fenrir design. So we took that, or with his approval, obviously. We did a kilt pin based on that, and we did kind of a whole collection about it. Did a belt buckle, a sporn, or a range of sporns.
Yep.
We did a T-shirt with it, and we kind of collaborated with him on the designs to kind of give us a Viking Nordic kind of line to our offerings.
Do you dare try to show your back to the camera, or is that going to be too awkward?
I think it's going to be
That's going to be too awkward. Matt can try. The back of the T-shirt is actually more impressive than the front.
Yeah.
There's a whole Viking shield back there with battle axes, but that was how it started, was with that. And then we realized we had something cool there, which spoke to a large percentage of our audience. So, kind of rolled with it. And there's, as you guys already know, there's a lot of Nordic influence in Scottish and Irish culture. More evidence of that coming out every day. I just heard there's a new study in Ireland saying that the DNA profile in Ireland is even closer and more related to the Scandinavian DNA than they had previously suspected. So yeah, because they founded Dublin and you had all this intermarriage between the cultures and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so basically
Intermarriage.
Intermarriage. I'm being nice. But yeah, the Mjolnir kilt pin was, I think, the first one we did, right?
We did the Mjolnir kilt pin as well
Yep.
as the Fenrir kilt pin simultaneously.
About the same time. Yeah. Okay.
So we came out with them first, and it was we just wanted to really test the waters and see what the reaction was going to be to this stuff, because I'm not Nordic, I'm not pagan, I'm not I'm just a guy who likes cool stuff.
What do pagans have to do with it? What are you talking about?
I'm tired. Leave me alone. I've had Scotch now.
Right on. Okay.
But I just like cool designs. So I figured if I like a design well enough to want to do it, other people will like it too. So we kind of tested the water with this stuff, and it kind of went off from there.
Yeah. So and then we had our sporn maker in Scotland was kind enough to help us take the designs and figure out a way of etching them onto some of our more popular day sporn templates that we use, basically. So because it's really nice, solid, easy to wear design. It's quite capacious, as they say.
Oh, and
I don't know if that'll show up on camera, but the design continues under the flap.
Yep.
So you have a couple of guys with drinking horns,
Toasting.
raising the horn.
Yep.
So, yeah.
Cool. All right. That's enough product placement.
That's more than enough.
Yes.
That's more than enough.
Agreed.
Apologies to anybody who is annoyed by that.
Yep.
Okay.
Mr. Mack.
All right.
Question number 2.
So we have Cameron asking us about flashes versus Rocky's favorite, garter ties. Which is more traditional, and thoughts on the crazy fringed wool flashes?
Crazy
Fringed
fringed.
wool. I've seen
Wool.
them.
Crazy thoughts on
I don't
fringed
remember.
wool flashes.
I think it's like one manufacturer or somebody who's making them. I think.
Oh, yeah. The flashes, which are little flag things that help hold the socks up, garters, effectively. Originally, I'll say it that way, were kind of garter ties. Just basically strips of fabric that you wrap around your legs, tie it, oddly enough, and it helped hold the socks up. And then you flip the socks down on top, and you're left with the two little ends dangling down.
Mm-hmm.
Flashes are kind of a throwback to that. Where Mac is talking about the fringing aspect, basically flashes traditionally have a chevron cut, a V notch in the bottom of the flashes, the little flags. So what ends up happening is, since they're made of wool and you are cutting them and not actually sewing the ends, they kind of fray a little bit over time. There are specific manufacturers, or at least 2 that I know of, that actually cut straight across the bottom and then fringe them a little bit. That way it looks like it's done on purpose.
Just kind of lean into it. Huh?
Yeah, they lean into it. They say, okay, if it's going to fringe anyway, screw it. Let's just fringe a little bit down the bottom. Boom, done. And then that's the way it looks like it was supposed to be done like that. Garter ties have the same kind of thing, where there's just a lot of little dangly fringe bits. I'm not a huge fan of it. My employees are trying to get me to carry the garter ties in the store. That's what Mac's joke is. But yes, you can wear any of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean the garter ties are basically the modern flashes. What we consider flashes are elastic band sock garters with the flashing being the little decorative flags like Rocky was talking about, and they go back to maybe about 100 years or so, and they're probably military in origin. As far as I've been able to tell, it was basically something that was developed by the military as an efficiency. Basically make sure that guys looked regimental and their kilt hose stayed up and it looked guaranteed uniform. Garter ties are ancient technology, basically going back to like tablet woven bands that people used in all parts of Europe, really, to hold up their hose or to hold up their socks. And when I say hose, I mean like hosen, the leggings that they wore in the Middle Ages. And by the 17th, 18th, early 19th century, the Scots, of course, were using them to hold up their kilt hose. So it's how much that is a tradition that you have to consider is kind of irrelevant. They've kind of come back into vogue in some ways. They've always kind of been there for shooting socks, which is a non-kilt thing.
The Downton
for the
Abbey
most part.
effect.
It is partly the Downton Abbey effect, although I would say that even back in that time period, which is like 19 teens to 1920s, I think they were probably still in the flashes phase more than ties. I'd have to look at photography to be sure. But it's like I said, though, it's something that has continued in sporting socks for time immemorial.
That's what I'm thinking as far as the Downton Abbey thing, because they were, they weren't wearing kilts in the show, but they were wearing tweed and +4s and +2s. And,
True. Yeah. So, yeah, it's, I think the garter ties are comfortable. I do like them. They're not necessarily as guaranteed to stay in place as, an elastic garter with a clip. But they're fun. So I would say, like I say with everything, because that's how I go, is it's fun to have both. Play with them for different looks.
That's a fair point. They're not a major investment. The garter ties are going to be $20 to $30, that kind of range. Flashes are going to be about the same. So it's one of those things where buy a couple and see what you like, and whichever you end up on, great. You have options.
Yeah, I would say the ties look more organic, whereas the modern flashes look more crisp. You can play with it that way. Does that make sense?
That's fair.
Yeah.
Unless you fringe them.
Yeah, there's that.
Mr. Mack.
All right, Tim is. We'll stay in the shoe foot region here. Tim is asking, can you recommend a good shoe for casual look, like wearing a polo shirt, and hose or no hose?
For a polo, I think of it kind of as like casual business, or what's the word?
Like Casual Friday or business casual.
Business casual.
Kinda.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Business casual. If you would normally wear like slacks at the business, then I'd say probably hose and maybe a pair of Dockers, or not Dockers, like wingtips or something like that. With a polo shirt. If you would wear shorts, then I'd say you could get a little bit more casual, like cotton crew socks and a pair of like solid color shoes. When I first started wearing kilts, I was more on the casual end, and I would always wear skate shoes like Vans or Etnies and brands like that, because a lot of times their style for skate shoes was very, very plain. Currently, my current favorite company, I'll give a plug, is a company called Allbirds, Allbirds, where they have merino wool or like a recycled tree fiber, some hippy-dippy, whifty-farkle thing. But they're very, very simple shoes, so I kind of dig them. And they don't compete with the rest of the outfit. A lot of times you'll hear us talking about wearing, Nikes or New Balance or like shoes with like lines everywhere and, multicolors and that kind of thing. I am not a fan of that. I like more solid color, single color, maybe two color if it's black and gray or black and white for the shoe wearer. That's kind of where I would go with it. So if I'm, in a t-shirt or a polo and it's going to be warm, don't wear kilt hose. Just wear cotton crew socks and a simple pair of sneakers. Be comfortable. If it's going to be coolish or you're going to be indoors where there's air conditioning, then kilt hose and a pair of, wingtips is fine.
Yeah, pretty much. And just walking shoes. The main point is you don't want the shoes to detract from the kilt. The kilt is the main point of attention for the outfit. So keep it blacks and browns, simple, or grays, like you said, with that the one pair of shoes.
Yeah, tone within the outfit.
Yeah, if you're worried about it that much. But obviously, if the more casual the occasion is, the less you need to worry about it anyway.
Agreed.
Yeah. Be comfortable.
Exactly. Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have James, since we're on kilt hose here. James is asking us, since we're talking about socks and hose, what about shooting socks? He's been looking at getting some. What are your thoughts on them being used as kilt hose?
Yeah. The thing I've worn shooting socks. I wear shooting socks as kilt hose. The one company that we carry, House of Cheviot, actually does mostly shooting socks. Then they happen to kind of back their way into kilt hose. What I'd say about shooting socks that I've noticed is they're a little bit longer than kilt hose by about 1.5 inches or so. So they tend to go up your leg a little bit more. And B, they seem to be a little bit more, not grippy, but like elasticy, kind of around the top. They're a little bit more, constricting on the top of the calf. I don't think I guess you wear garter ties with them, but you don't really like flashes. Yeah. So that may be why. Or do you tuck your pants into them, right? Or,
I'm not completely sure on that.
I think it depends on what you're wearing. What type of pant you're wearing with it.
Yeah.
But yeah, if it looks like a kilt hose and quacks like a kilt hose, it's kilt hose. But yeah, there's certain things that, in my humble opinion or my estimation, are close enough, and you won't be able to tell the difference. Shooting socks, depending on the pattern or the vertical stripes in it or something weird like that, if it's barring those things, shooting socks would work as kilt hose. Rugby socks, people can try to make them work to varying degrees of success. I don't think they look nearly as good, but people would use those. I wouldn't. To me, it's always my grandfather, who was not a very handy guy, but my grandfather would say, the right tool for the right job. So rugby socks are great for rugby, but they're okay for wearing with kilt hose. It's kind of like chiseling with a flathead screwdriver. It can be done, but it's not a chisel.
Okay.
Sorry, I'm the king of analogies.
Yeah, I like
for
that.
people outside the company, I do like my analogies.
Okay, that works. Yeah, I don't disagree.
Any other thoughts?
No, I think you summed it up. I think a lot of shooting socks are almost indistinguishable from kilt hose.
Yeah, that's why multiple companies that sell shooting socks also sell kilt hose. It's really not that different.
Yeah.
Cool.
More?
Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Jason asking. He normally wears utility kilts, and he's wanting something more traditional.
Okay.
He's traced his roots back to a clan origin, and he's asking what's a good way to get into a traditional kilt, and where's a good place to start.
This is us not being egocentric, product heavy people.
Yes. We're not doing a sales pitch here. There's this great company in Spring City, Pennsylvania. I can tell you all about them.
Utikilts, right?
Yes, Utikilts, exactly.
Yeah, I've heard of them.
Wonderful brand.
Yeah.
It depends on what you want to do. I can only speak to us, so I apologize for being product heavy in this answer. If you're just going to wear it kind of casually, then there are, I'll kind of give you the big umbrella. There are other companies as well that do inexpensive casual type kilts to varying degrees of success and varying countries of origin. If having something made in America or made in Scotland is something to you, be aware that there are many kilt companies that offer things that aren't made there, made in Pakistan, made in China, that kind of thing. Not that there's anything wrong with it, it's just a fact. If you're looking for casual, then a casual type kilt you can get for $100-ish. We, as you move up our scale, have our semi-traditional kilt, which is still the machine washable fabric, but it looks a little bit more like a traditional kilt. And then there's wool kilts, our 5-yard wool or 8-yard wool kilts. And different companies have differing levels of quality, levels of attention to detail, that kind of thing. So no matter who you buy from, do your research on the company and make sure you read reviews and that kind of thing.
Yeah. I basically say, think about the events or the occasions where you want to wear it. If you are a serial kilter, like you really like to kilt up all the time, then you might want to start with something that's more rough and tumble, kind of like similar to your utilikilts, aka a lower end, easy to wash fabric like the polyviscose, which is what we carry. If you want it for special occasions, then you might want to save up and do something like a 5-yard wool, because you're going to do the utilikilts most of the time, but when it's a special event, you're a special date night, you want to really put on the dog, so you go with the wool because wool just looks nicer and it feels nicer. It could be a seasonal approach. Some people like the PV for summer hot weather and the wool for the winter, so that's another way to break it down. But I would say, since you're already used to wearing kilts, decide on, it's not like you have to break into kilts in general and you have to be worried about, oh, am I going to actually wear this if I buy it? Am I really ready to do this? You're already wearing utilikilts, so you don't have that hurdle to get over. I would say think about where and when you want to wear it and what your budget is. Personally, I would recommend, again, speaking to our products, because that's what I know, I consider starting with like a semi-traditional kilt, because it's not a huge investment. It's machine washable. It's good for hot weather. And there's a large percentage of tartans in it. Now, if you want to be very specific about the clan tartan you're wearing, you may find that it's only available in wool and not in PV. There's only like 100, 120 tartans in polyviscose, whereas for wool, it's all there. So that might be a factor in your thinking. But that's basically it. You don't have to spend a lot of money, but I think you may decide you want to spend a fair amount of money because this is a special thing as opposed to a daily wear thing, perhaps. The only other thing I might mention, though, is that be prepared for the fact that a traditional kilt is going to fit on your body differently than your utilikilt. It's not going to be down around your hips. It's going to be up around your navel. Don't try and trust your old utilikilt measurements when you're ordering a traditional kilt. Take fresh measurements, whether it's our measuring guide or some other provider's measuring guide. Make sure you're very accurate with that. It's a much more form-fitted garment. You're going to look better in it, but you don't want to try and trust your old utilikilt measurements before you get a trad kilt, because they are different.
Yeah, and I would even go so far as to say, if you're wearing it regularly, utilikilts or otherwise, and you think you want to get into wearing a traditional kilt or wearing a tartan kilt, I'll put it, the whole thing in that, under that heading, tartan kilt. Then, if you're going to want to wear, you don't have to stop at one. They're like tattoos. They're like chips. You can have more than one. What I generally would say is get now taking out the utilikilt aspect for the time being, you're going to have different occasions where you want to wear stuff. So if you're going to be running out to the mall or cutting the grass or whatever, and you want to have on your kilt for ventilation, then a casual kilt would do just fine. And then a wool kilt, save that for the nicer events or for times where you want to dress it up a little bit more. That way you have, both ends of the spectrum covered. So in the same way that you wear your UK for, just daily grind kind of stuff, you can have a tartan kilt for a similar circumstance than a nicer wool kilt, tartan wool kilt for, the nicer stuff.
Yeah. Yep.
Very good.
Probably more information they need.
We are not short on words.
That's for sure.
Or
a little bit, just a little long-winded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Slightly.
That's because of my Nordic ancestry, because we had this tradition of poetry with the skalds, and basically we wrote these incredibly long, complex poems about everything. So, yeah.
I just talk a lot.
No, that's right. There's that.
Mr. Mack.
Alrighty, so we have Mark asking, why are kilt belt buckles designed with that fixed piece that the belt loops go through instead of being a movable piece? That makes them, he's saying that it makes the buckle sit on your belly at an angle, and it drives his OCD nuts.
Is he talking about the bar, then?
Yes, I know exactly what he's talking about.
Yeah, okay.
On the back of a kilt belt buckle, there is a bridge on one side, and then a big hook, a wide hook on the other side. So a kilt belt, you pass the leather through the bridge and double it back on itself and connect it either via Velcro or an internal buckle. And then on the other end of the belt, there's a D-ring, which connects to that wide hook. Now, it is an advantage. I'm going to answer your question in a second. It's an advantage because once you've Velcroed the inside of the belt at the right spot, you just literally wrap it around you and it's going to hook to the proper tension. versus a buckle with the 2 prongs or 1 prong, where you actually have to, put it into a hole on the belt. Now, the problem that he's describing is on the back of the belt, the bridge sits lower or higher, as it were, than the hook side. So the problem is when you put the belt on, that side, the right side or the left side, depending on the manufacturer, of the kilt belt will sit more proud of your belly than the other side. So as you look down at the kilt belt, it's kind of tilted out on one side and tilted in on the other side. That is a known flaw. Most kilt belt buckles have this flaw.
Yeah.
The only way that we've kind of counteracted it minusculely, that's a word, right?
Sure.
Minusculely?
Sure, yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
We've counteracted it a little bit in the buckles that we are actually having made specifically for us, is we move the hook part of the buckle in a little bit more towards the center by about a 1/2 inch or so. So the other side of the buckle that normally comes back a little bit more sits on the leather of the second side of the belt, not like the metal ring area, whatever. But that being said, there's not a lot you can do about it.
Yeah, not really.
You're taking a bridge and then you're putting a piece of leather, thick leather if it's a good belt, in front of the bridge, and all of that is coming off of your body by about 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch, and on the other side it's only coming off about 1/4 inch. So you have about a 1/2 inch difference between the two.
Yeah.
I will say this from the aspect of someone who has seen it, worried about it, tried to counteract it, and deals with it, who has that same kind of OCD, as you say. You're just going to have to suck it up. There's not a lot you can do about it. Outside of building up the back side of the buckle on the hook side, it's going to be what it's going to be. So you just have to accept it and move forward with your life. Don't lose sleep over it. Don't try to, re-engineer the wheel. I've done my best as somebody who's concerned about it to try to fix it. But it is what it is. Every buckle that we get from every manufacturer that we get them has the same kind of issue.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Sorry, not sorry. It is what it is.
Sympathize. Yeah. Definitely sympathize.
Sympathize.
Yeah.
Not even empathize. Sympathize.
Yeah.
I see it. I know it. I hate it. Not much we can do, bro. Cool. Mr. Mack.
All right, so we have Philip, and we have a few other members on here talking, or viewers on here asking about Erik's tweed kilt. So a couple of them are asking if it's similar to the Northumberland check, if it's different, how is it just a standard check?
It's actually kilting fabric meant to look like tweed fabric. So it's a tweed pattern woven as I guess that means it's worsted, right?
Wool,
so it's woven as worsted wool. And it's basically just you pick this one out. I inherited this from him back when I started with the company, and it's just a nice looking tweed pattern. It is now you mention it, it does remind me of shepherd's check quite a bit. It's very, very close, yeah, but it's not meant to be anything other than look casual and estatey, just look country, rustic.
Yeah, it reminds me, now that you said that, it actually reminds me of the Burns check. Because Burns check is black and white, and then it has a little thin brown stripe in it.
Yeah.
So that's what that kind of red stripe reminds me of.
I was thinking that, and I wasn't articulating it. You're right. Yeah,
no, it's the Northumberland is shepherd's check. That's what Burns is. You're very, very similar to.
Yeah. True.
Absolutely. But while we're on the topic of tartans, today I have on the McEwen modern tartan. One of my grandmother's side was McEwen, which is an Irish variant of McEwen. So that's why I have on the McEwen tartan today.
Cool.
Nobody asked, nobody cared.
Yeah. You haven't worn a modern palette kilt in a while.
No, I don't have many modern palette kilts.
Yeah.
Most of the time, for me personally, when I'm drawn to a tartan, it's usually either very, very different, like Isle of Skye or the County Derry, or like something like obscure or a Kildare, and not a normal one. Mm-hmm. I'm not normal. or weathered or muted or that kind of thing, like earthy palettes, because I like them matching them with tweed.
Yeah.
I don't often do the modern tartans.
Yeah, but that's a very dark one.
Yeah.
So yeah, cool.
It's a black watch variant, just like most. Cool.
So-
Mr. Mac.
All right, so we have Lord Mac Kent asking, what shirt is the easiest for a great kilt? He wears great kilts every day and wants something
Every day?
easy. That's what he's saying.
Dude.
He's wearing it every day.
Okay.
He wants something that's like a hard-wearing shirt that can be worn multiple times.
Without washing?
I'm going to assume there's going to be
I'm hoping
some
he's
washing in there.
Please wash your
Okay.
clothes.
Multiple times. Yeah, it's
The
anything.
Yeah.
Really?
Well, if he's wearing it with a great kilt,
You want
If
something that
he's-
looks more antique-y, or something a bit more 19th to 18th century, I'm assuming.
Highland shirts, okay, they're not historically correct, but they fit the aesthetic. The grandfather shirts are kind of where I've landed, and the company through me has landed on like a cool looking aesthetic that is quasi historical, and it's just got a good feel. Grandfather shirt meaning like the band collar and then a dozen buttons in the first 10 inches
On a button placket, yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think what else for a great kilt that you'd wear daily. If it's
The daily thing is what's throwing me, because I'm used to people wearing them either just not caring about the rest of the outfit, like our friend John up in Massachusetts, who basically wears great kilts on a regular basis, and he just wears whatever modern clothes he wants with them. Or it's people who are doing it in a more historical or fantasy context, like a reenactment or a Ren Fair or SCA or something like that. So if you want something that kind of has that rustic, antique feel, I would go with either a 18th or 19th century work shirt. One of our company we admire because they're kind of on a parallel course to us is Townsend's. They're a sutler company. They have a good selection of work shirts you might want to take a look at. If you're planning on using it on a regular basis, and you want something hard wearing, go for linen. Our grandfather shirts, another reason we like them a lot is because they're actually a linen blend fabric. So it's very comfortable, but also really tough. You really can't beat linen for this stuff. So that's probably how I would go. I would advise you to try shirts with buttons. Don't necessarily go with the lace-up front shirt. It gets a little too costumey that way. Might be nice to have in your wardrobe for sometimes, but there are going to be times when you don't want that, I walked out of a Scottish romance novel cover kind of a look. You might want something a little bit more practical looking.
Yeah, he said he's looking for something more period correct.
Yeah. I would check out Townsend's for sure.
The other thing I'd say is probably if you're going to wear them daily and they're not cheap, I'd say wear an A-frame undershirt underneath them just to kind of absorb some of the sweat and oils and kind of keep you cool down there. I will say when you said a period correct work shirt, I'm thinking like ye old Dickies brand.
Well,
work clothing.
That's gonna be. I don't know if that's the kind of look he's going for.
No. Oh, that's what you're. Okay,
you're
marketing. Ye old Dickies.
Yeah, well, that's because you're a '90s kid, so it's all about Dickies. Yeah, okay. But that's and Gentleman's Emporium or Historical Emporium. I won't vouch for the quality of what they sell there, but they do have a variety of shirts as well that are historically inspired, shall we say? But that's how I'd play it, and try a couple of different ones. Change it up.
And unless you are literally like on the Royal Mile reenactor, or that's your full-time gig, and you're a docent at a museum, and that's how you want to dress, I'd say just get something that's like inspired or looks like it could be historical. It doesn't have to be actually historical. So, like, I wouldn't necessarily wear a T-shirt with a great kilt, but if you wear a grandfather shirt or even a Highland shirt, to that point, it still looks like it would go that way to 99.99% of people that you're going to interact with on a daily basis, unless you're a reenactor.
Yeah, or it's there are some shirts out there which are modern shirts, but they have a softer line to them, so they wouldn't look odd with the soft lines of a great kilt. I'm thinking like flannel shirts. There's some flannel shirts out there which do not necessarily have the breast pockets on them.
Not flannel as in plaid.
No, but flannel is the material. Usually flannel shirts are sold in plaid, but there are solid color ones also.
Yes.
That might be a great option for winter. Just a nice flannel shirt that's just a solid print, or not print, a solid color without the pockets. That'd give you a basic shape and not look too crisp and too modern, but be comfortable. So,
Now I'm just thinking like a confused, homeless lumberjack wandering the streets with a great kilt on and a plaid shirt, maybe Argyle hose
man.
too.
Oh,
Yeah,
man.
no. It's,
Well, if you're going to go all in, you might as well just go all the way.
If you're gonna go,
Absolutely,
go.
yes.
Yeah. Or get one of some of those 1850s printed shirts that were popular with like the skulls and crossbones and the flags and
Mhm.
the little flowers. All that kind of stuff. They had some crazy shirts in the 1850s. Really, really
Like
obnoxious.
or like cowboy shirts and, yeah. Like
Go with
that.
some bib fronts.
Yeah, absolutely.
No,
I think we're slightly off
I
topic.
think we're
now.
off topic. I think
Slightly.
he's got some ideas.
Rabbit holing
Yeah.
a bit. Yes.
I hope that helps. If you're getting these outfits together, send me pictures. I'd love to see what you come up with.
Not of the plaid flannel shirt, though.
Yeah, no.
Mr. Mack.
All right. So Mike has 2 questions for us. One is he's asking, is it better to leave a kilt pin on a kilt instead of removing each time he wears
Oh, that's
it?
a good question.
And he's also asking, can a stag horn skin do be used for formal wear?
Can it be? I'll start with the second question first. Can a staghorn skin do be used for formal wear? Yes, in the way that 99% of people don't know what they're looking at. If that's all you have and you're at a wedding where you're the only guy in a kilt, have at it. If you're going to be in a room full of guys in a kilt, then the proper skin do to wear for formal is going to be a dress skin do, not a day wear skin do. There's basically 2 categories, day wear or dress. Day wear skin do is either going to be a light wood handle with a leather scabbard, cheap kind of leather scabbard, or a horn skin do or that kind of thing. A dress skin do is going to be black, effectively resin or, a black wood kind of thing with a metal shiny bit on the top and maybe a jewel. That is a dress skin do. So there's some skin do's that kind of split the difference. Well, they'll have a lighter color wood with a jewel on top and some shiny bits. But at the same time, your mileage may vary. It's kind of the semi-dress of skin do's. So that. What was his other question?
His other question was on, is it better to leave a kilt pin on a kilt instead of removing it each time?
Sure. The kilt pin on a kilt, when you put a kilt pin on a kilt, it's either going to be a stick pin, like a big, long, 2-inch or so pin with a swing arm kind of clasp, or in the case of our new kilt pins that we've done, we have 2 individual like lapel pin with a butterfly backing on them, so that it's 2 pins stabbing through the kilt.
I don't know if that'll show up on camera.
Don't be lifting your kilt on camera.
Only the front apron.
So you can leave it on. What his concern is that if the more you take on, pull off, take on, pull on, whatever, it's going to create holes in the kilt. I don't think you need to leave it on. There's 2 times when a kilt pin could damage the kilt. One is when you are poking the pin through the fabric, and the other time is when you walk past something and it tries to,
Gets tugged on.
Gets tugged on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So if you are careful when you put the kilt pin on, what I'd suggest is hold the fabric flat against your hand and stab the pin through your fingers and the fabric at the same time, and kind of twist the pin as you're going through to work it through the fabric. If you just stab straight through with no pressure on the back, that's going to have a chance of pushing one of the threads out and kind of screwing up the kilt a little bit. And the other thing is you just have to be very careful when you're out not to get it caught on something. One of the reasons why the Fenrir kilt pin that we did and the Mjolnir kilt pin that we did have the 2 straight pins on the back with little butterfly clasps is because it lays flatter against the front apron of the kilt. So the flatter it's laying, the less chance it's going to have to get caught on something.
Yeah. I would generally agree. I personally like to leave my pins on a fair percentage of my kilts. I have favorite pins that go with certain kilts. I tend to just leave them on. So I'm doing that piercing function less often. But it's just like we always say, 2 Scotsmen, 3 opinions. So your mileage may vary. I like to leave the pins on the kilts. How
dare you, sir?
I know. Well,
How dare you?
Sorry. But I lost my train of thought. Damn you, sir! Damn you!
My job.
Yes, it is. So Your mileage may vary. I would say, yeah, basically making sure the pin goes through the weave of the thread rather than piercing a thread and poking at it is a very good point. It's a very good tactic. Now, if I may, jumping back to question number 1.5. The exception, I would say, for that antler skin do would be if it has a cap. If it has a silver cap on it, basically if it's a crown from the horn and there's a decoration on it, that looks a little snazzier and it looks a little more like like an artisanal kind of a thing. If it's just the horn, it's a little too naturalistic for a formal event. It's a lot of time you kind of think of formal events as having more crisp, clean lines, not naturalistic lines. So a raw antler kind of skin do looks a little too natural and chaotic, if you will, for formal.
Artistic. Yeah. Well, no.
Well, I think if you put some bling on it, then it becomes artistic. So, and there are some,
like the natural beauty of the thing. It's more natural, not.
It's more wabi sabi.
Refined.
So it's wabi sabi. I'll throw some Japanese.
Wabi sabi.
It's a Japanese thing. Don't worry about it.
Okay.
So anyway, that's my opinion. So.
No, it's. I'll agree with you on that. I might say. Well.
They do make some that have the clan crest in the crown.
And I'm picturing ones with like a big silver cap, like a big silver cap, like inch long silver cap on the top of an antler skin do. So I see what you're saying there. To me, if it was just like a flat polished bit on the top of a skin do or on the top of an antler, I would kind of see it again, kind of like semi-dress, where it's dressing it up some, not to the same level, but it's fancying it up a bit. So yeah, I'll give that one to you.
Okay, there you go. I win.
Never.
I know.
Very good, Mr. Mack.
All right, we have Tim asking us, how can he measure a kilt that was gifted to him? So he's got a kilt.
Oh,
he doesn't know the measurements of it.
Okay.
How can he get the measurements?
Is he trying to wear it himself, or
potentially, or he could maybe
give it away or sell it?
Or sell it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Measuring a kilt is a bit tricky, depending on the material, depending on a lot of different things. A very, very rudimentary way to measure a kilt is take the kilt, lay it flat. Now, let me start over. A rudimentary way to measure the kilt is you have to keep one thing in mind. When you actually wrap the kilt around yourself, you're A, stretching it, but B, you're also taking up room where the aprons overlap. So it's kind of adding a little bit to the dimension. So that will make sense in a second. Lay the kilt flat on the front apron side where there's fringe. Go to the middle hole on the strap. So if there's generally about 5 holes on this kilt strap, and you're going to go to the third one. Start there, measure across the top of the front apron about 1.5 inches, 2 inches down from the top, and then go to the other end of the apron, measure across the pleats, and you want to make sure that the material is pulled taut while you are measuring. Measure all the way to the far buckle, basically where it would match up when you're actually wearing the kilt, and find where the swing arm, the tang, hits the square edge of the buckle. So you're measuring from the middle hole of the strap, across the top, all the way across the pleats, to the far top buckle. Take 1 inch off of that measurement, and that should be about the waist measurement for that kilt. And again, you're taking 1 inch off because when you actually circle the kilt up around yourself, you're going to lose a little bit where the aprons overlap. For the length, it's actually, for the hips, effectively the same thing. Although the hip measurement is generally, the hip buckle is generally about 2 inches above the actual widest part of your rump. But it's an approximation. The waist measurement is typically a little bit more important than the hip in that aspect. For the length, you're going to measure in 2 spots. You're going to go to the front apron and measure from the very, very top to the very, very bottom. And that will be the overall length of the kilt. You also want to measure in the pleats somewhere, like the top of the middle back pleat, let's say, from the very top of the top waistband straight down to the bottom of the bottom of the kilt. You want to be concerned minorly that the back, when you sew up the pleats, it's actually squishing up the fabric a little bit. So sometimes the back measures a 1/4 inch or so shorter than the front apron of the kilt. Mac, do you have any other thoughts to add to that? Aside from going into rise and drop and all that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, I think the simpler it is, the
keep it
easier
simple.
it is, yeah.
Yeah, if you're trying to just get the measurements so you can easily impart it to someone you're giving it to, or you're
sell
trying to
it on
sell it
eBay,
to, on eBay, then just keep it basic.
Yeah. I will say this. What is the difference? Hey, Mac. Yes, Rocky. What's the difference between drop and length? I'm so glad you asked, Mac. Let me explain it to you. A lot of people use the term drop when they're actually referring to the length of a kilt. They're using the term incorrectly. Drop is the section from from your hip bone, or right on the side of your body, which should be in line with the center of the top buckle to the bottom of the kilt. The rise is the section from the center of that buckle to the top of the kilt. The rise on a kilt should be effectively straight up or down, or actually even taper out a tiny bit. Most people don't. Usually it's just straight up and down. And then from there, that point, the center of the top buckle to the bottom of the felt, which is the widest part of your rear end, the material should kind of taper out a little bit and then come back in straight on the last inch or so it hangs down straight from the widest part of your rear end. Effectively, it should be straight for 2 inches, angled for about 5 inches, and then straight for about an inch, is effectively how the top of the kilt should be. You'll notice it most in the front apron, the tapering of the front apron on either side, whether on the side by the fringe and the straps, or the side that's actually sewn to the pleats. You'll notice at the very top, it should go straight, then angle for about 5 inches, and then straight again for the last inch or so. That's the difference between the drop and the rise and the length. Drop, which is about 6 inches, plus the rise equals the length. Or no, excuse me, that's the felt. Yeah, drop is from the center section of the top buckle to the bottom of the kilt. So if you're a 24-inch kilt, that's going to be about 22 inches. The rise should be about 2 inches. Drop plus rise equals length. And now you know.
That was very detailed.
You're welcome, Mac.
I'll try to find
I'm
some
happy
good
you asked the
graphics for that.
question. Yeah. Yes, next, Mr. Mac. Actual Mr. Mac.
Yes. So we have a question that came in asking about a fly plate.
A specific fly plate?
Yes, just one of them.
Attacked him in a dark alley. Okay.
The tactical fly plate.
Tactical fly plate? Okay.
How's webbing?
I have a joke about that.
He said he knows it takes place of a great kilt for formal wear, but is it acceptable to wear a great kilt for a formal setting, or maybe even with a waistcoat and tie?
I've seen people do it.
Has it been done? Yes. Has it been done well? In my opinion, no. I've seen them. Some people love wearing a great kilt. Some people want to wear it and want to make it work. It's not really formal. You'll see maybe some older, pre-Victorian pictures of guys in fancy jackets with a great kilt on. Sure. And you can kind of make it work-ish, but in 2019, today, or really from the 1920s through 2019, for the last 100 years.
For like 120 years, in my opinion, but go ahead.
Okay. No, it's not really done wearing the great kilt formally. You can kind of make it work. Can you wear a Daysporen with a Prince Charlie? Sure, you can kind of make it work. Is it correct? Is it traditional in the sense of the recent traditions, recent history, meaning the last 100, 120 years? Not really.
Yeah. I certainly wouldn't do it in Scotland. Here in the States, anything goes to some extent. If you really want to try and do it, I would choose a jacket combination which is not angular. Go with a antique style jacket like a Sheriff Muir or a
shorter jacket.
Yeah, or a Montrose doublet or something. Because it's, as we've alluded to before, Like when we were talking about skin dews, the difference between a formal look and a casual look is usually how angular and crisp and refined the lines are. A great kilt is a big mushy shape, whereas most formal wear is meant to be very crisp, very precise. Think about the lapels on a Prince Charlie jacket. It's very crisp. So maybe if you choose accessories and stuff which are more rounded, like a Brian Boru jacket or something like that, or like I said, like a Sheriff Muir.
It still has the tails. It would get in the way. And
Yeah,
just kind of
I wouldn't recommend it, honestly.
you're forcing it.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel like it wants to go together. It feels
Yeah.
like you're forcing A and B together, and it's just coming out with a Frankenstein's monster kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, I like to try and give people a chance to experiment if their heart's really in a project.
I agree.
But I in this case, I really don't think it's a very good idea.
And ultimately, these are just two guys' opinions. We're going to give you a bit of a traditional slant to it, but it's not. You can still do it. I won't come after you. I promise. But it's something. It's just it's not something that's done. So you can do it if you want to. You can wear Birkenstocks and white socks with your kilt if you're German and you have to. But I'm still going to tell you I don't like the look of it. So don't take it personal. It's just our opinion on it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. I hope that didn't ruin your day. I
Hopefully
still
not.
love you. Mr. Mac, you have any more?
Should we just have one? We just had one that just came in. So it's John is asking, is there a style, and this might be more of a Lucas question, is there a style of bagpipes that are better than the other, like Highland or small border? Does one sound better than the other?
Oh, I think we can answer that. But
I'd say Highland bagpipes are the most popular. So de facto answer is probably the Highland bagpipes. Even in St. Patrick's Day parades, they're not playing uilleann pipes, they're playing Great Highland bagpipes. So it's one of those where it's not, it's just personal preference. It's not anything, it's what your ear likes the sound of. The Great Highland bagpipes are probably the most popular. There are brands that are more popular than others. Some of them have great marketing. Speaking to our context earlier, there's others that are smaller companies that don't have a lot of marketing, but their sound may be better to your ear or to someone else's ear. But I'd say Great Highland bagpipes.
let me try and channel my inner Lucas. Lucas, for those who don't know, he's our resident bagpipe instructor guy. So what would Lucas say?
Lucas,
Okay.
speak to us beyond the spirit realm.
From beyond the
we have
sales
the
room.
Ouija.
From beyond the bagpipe cleaning desk.
Or squeegee?
Yeah.
The Ouija board?
Okay, there are hundreds of types of bagpipes in the world, or at least dozens. Every nation in Europe, at least, has had a couple of different versions of them. They all have their own sound. They all have their own style of play based on the cultural context that they evolved in. So in terms of like the loudest, the Highland pipes, the great pipes, they're called great because they are a very powerful instrument. I mean, there's a reason why people use them as signaling devices. It's a different sound and a different tonal quality than something like an uilleann pipes or border pipes, which are meant to be more of an interior, indoor space, kind of a mellow instrument. So the answer is you can't really rank them like there's one type of pipe that's better than another. They all have something to offer. If you want something that's brassy and strong and makes you feel like you're standing, in a glen and listening to the echoes, then you're going to really enjoy the sound of great pipes. If you want something that's a mellow sound like you're sitting in a parlor drinking whiskey, then parlor pipes or uilleann pipes is going to make a lot more sense.
Or medieval pipes? And,
Yeah, the medieval pipes, if you want something that sounds like, you're about to go out and slay trolls. I know a lot. German pipes sound like German pipes. It's like, very...
Yes. They talk like Arnold Schwarzenegger all the time.
And then Italian pipes sound like goats for some reason. But it's
You play me now. You play me. Practice today.
So Lucas would say if you're into the instruments, you got to collect them all. If you just want to listen to them, then you got to listen to them all. I mean, I found beautiful music made on all kinds of different bagpipes. My personal favorite is going to be Highland pipes, but that's they're most of them I think are about as flexible as the others in terms of the notes that you can play. I think that's right. They're the individual note. Yeah, there's only like 9 notes on most pipes. There are some exceptions to that with some of the European ones where they actually have 2 chanters, like double chanter things going on. I guess
Is it like
But,
double kick drums?
Yeah, basically. For speed metal
It's
bagpipes.
for speed metal bagpipes,
but,
exactly, yes.
and we're being goofy here, but the point is, I wouldn't try to rank them. They're all amazing instruments in their own right.
They are all special flowers.
Right. Okay.
Great Highland pipes. They're the best.
Okay.
Mr. Erik, we'll take some of the prefab questions.
Yeah, I could do that.
that we were asked pre-show.
And as always, thank you everybody for giving these to us. A couple of these are from last time that we didn't get to last time, but let's see what we can do here. John Davis asked us. He said, "My pleats go haywire, like from sitting on them, the wrong way, or from driving. I'll usually try to fix them by using a light steaming from a garment steam cleaner, like one of those handheld things, I think. And then I'll hang it from a shower rod, basically to let each pleat, hang down individually, and then steam each one till it's straight. And then he likes it to let it air dry fully, and he says it looks great after he gives it that treatment, but he's worried that he might be damaging the wool in the process. Is it possible to over steam your kilt, or is he being too aggressive with that kind of treatment?"
No.
You're fine.
No, steam is fine. Steam is a great way to clean, disinfect things, reset wool, kind of, take some of the little wrinkles out of it and that kind of thing. Your mileage may vary, but, that's why they use steam irons. That's why we use a boiler ironing system here at the shop. It's steam. Steam and pressure equals, creasing or flattening or uncreasing, as it were. No, you're not hurting the kilt.
Is it possible he's going to decrisp his pleats if he steams it too much?
Yes, because you're not
using a hand steamer as opposed to pressing with an iron?
Yes, because he's not pressing the pleats.
Okay.
If you're going into basically the steam and the heat are just kind of relaxing the fibers. So the pressure of an iron is what's actually giving it a crisp edge. But if all you're doing is just steaming, you're actually relaxing the creases that are already in there. Mm-hmm. That's why it takes the creases out. So if you're getting too close to the creases, you're going to end up over time with like barrel plates where they're not a nice knife edge. They just kind of round and go back into each other.
So steaming for quick fixes is fine, but once in a while you want to actually press it with an iron.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Steaming the front apron, and I would say this as well. Just your body heat and just moving around in a kilt is going to kind of relax some of the wrinkles out of the back. Okay. The more important thing to steam, because that's how most people see you coming, is the front apron of the kilt. So I would steam, and that generally gets a little bit more wrinkled up, basically at where your belly meets your legs or your thighs as you kind of sit down in the creases, basically behind the sporran and the upper portion of the kilt. That's where you're going to get more creases from sitting and standing and sitting and standing. So steaming that area is probably a good idea.
Okay, cool.
Absolutely.
Should I do that one?
Yep.
All right. Brandon is a truck driver, and he's looking to get into kilts for daily wear. Wants to be a serial kilter. You like that?
Yes.
You like that? Serial kilter?
We are now using the term, by the way, serial kilter. So somebody who wears a kilt on a regular basis, whether it's daily, whether it's once a week or as much as they can, serial kilter.
I'm not going to use it all the time, but
oh well, it's a cheesy pun joke kind of thing.
Yeah,
that's me.
Okay, cool. Anyway, Brendan may be interested in being a serial kilter, and he's a truck driver. He's looking towards going PV because ease of use and all that. What are our suggestions for getting in and out of a semi? And also keeping the pleats crisp in the process.
Sure.
I mean, semi, that's different from getting out of a car.
Yes. It is and it's not, because you're not sitting down in, but you're getting up and then getting in. Mm-hmm. I would make the same suggestion whether it's a car or a semi. A quick life hack, as it were, to wear your kilt in a vehicle, whether it's a truck that you have to jump up into or a car you sit down in, is get a bath towel or get a beach towel. Just leave it on the front seat of your car. When you go to get in the car, take the beach towel, wrap it around yourself wearing the kilt. while you are standing. Connect it in front, tuck it into itself, whatever. Sit down in your car. You can turn your legs sideways, and the bath towel will keep everything kind of tucked around you. Then when you are seated in the car, undo the towel. Boom. And then when you go to get out of the towel, just leave, or go to get out of the towel. When you go to get out of the car, leave the towel on the front seat. And that way, when you come back to the car, repeat the process. That will keep your pleats effectively straightened while you are driving.
I can see that. I think it may be a thing he's not going to want to deal with all the time, getting in and out, like if he's just stopping at a truck stop or whatever. But that's the ultimate technique because that's a tool. Barring that, you're just going to have to perfect the pleat sweep. Basically, you can keep your pleats in pretty good shape just by learning to basically lift your butt, keep your feet braced on the floor, lift your butt and sweep your pleats a little bit, as you get settled in the seat before you're ready to buckle up and start driving. I assume you buckle up. That's basically it. Between that for usual use and then the towel trick, if you're really worried about it, or special occasion in the truck, I don't know.
Well, I'm thinking more along the lines of it's the pleat sweep is fine if you are. It's not going to be perfect. It'll be
true.
Good. True. If you're going a short distance, it won't matter because you're not going to be in the car for hours on end.
Yeah, if he's doing like local deliveries, maybe it's one thing. But if he's doing cross country, that's
if I'm driving cross country, I want to be comfortable. I understand why you have the kilt on because you can just have an air vent there. But at the same time,
to get the Johnny bottle in.
Yeah, but the sacrifice is you are sitting on a lump of fabric, and if you don't sweep it correctly, you're going to be adjusting the back of the pleats more or trying to adjust them. And if you have material seats versus leather, it kind of grabs the fabric a little bit, and it's more difficult to actually sweep them and adjust.
So it depends on how many hours he's planning on being behind the wheel.
Yeah.
Basically, if it's going to be all day, then you might want to do the towel thing.
Yeah.
Now, in case you meant like modesty, getting in and out of a semi since you're climbing up, and you're worried about up breezes or something like that, maybe I'm just gonna have to practice. It's Mac, you're nodding at me.
Yeah, I mean, my dad was a truck driver for years and still drives rigs. So getting up and out of the truck, you tend to get that updraft, especially when you're going between other rigs if you're pulling into a truck stop or something.
Yeah. So that could be interesting.
Yeah, you end up looking like a lot lizard.
If you're worried about it, there's always the underwear thing, but that defeats the purpose of being comfortable while you're driving. It's part of the advantage of driving in a kilt.
Okay, Brandon is actually on here.
Hey, Brandon,
and
cool.
He's is worried because he is a long distance and for modesty. So he's a long distance trucker.
Yeah, so then the towel would be good for keeping the pleats looking nice.
And modesty at the same time too. It's a little bit more difficult.
Time you get in and out, I don't know.
Does he have to pee every 3 miles? I don't know how often he gets in and out of the truck.
I think you're gonna have to try it at home, and it may depend on what kind of footholds and the shape of the doorway opening and everything is on your particular truck. If you change out trucks or something like that based on the job, then maybe that's not as helpful. But if you have your own truck, then I'd assume that you can get used to where there are good handholds and how you can kind of spin strategically as you get up and out. I have occasionally been in vehicles where I wanted to make sure that I was facing forward when I exit the vehicle as opposed to having my butt showing when I exit the vehicle. That's probably going to make you feel a lot better, especially if you have a sporn on, because if your butt is to if your butt's to the cabin, then if you do get an updraft, nobody's going to see anything, and your sporn is going to keep things down in the front. That's probably the best advice I can give. As always, it's going to come down to some experimentation.
And it's the other thing I'll say is if you are wearing underwear, then who cares? You're wearing underwear. So somebody, saw a
You could also say if you're regimental, who cares? But
no, well, it's I'd be a little bit more concerned about, kids and people walking past if I'm regimental in the truck. But if I'm wearing underwear and I get out of the truck and someone happens to see my underwear, it's on my underwear. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
It's not that much different than a pair of shorts. Mm-hmm. So
it's definitely worth trying though, because I can tell you long distance driving in a kilt, a lightweight kilt, maybe not a wool one, can be very comfortable. It can be really nice. So it's worth checking out. So
well, even if he does wool this way, if he has a sleeper cab, he's got a blanket there too.
A great kilt.
There
Yeah.
you go. There
See,
you
there
go.
we
Yeah,
go.
yeah. The great kilt.
As you guys kept saying, sweep the pleats. Now I'm having the picture of Karate Kid instead of sweep the leg. It's now sweep the pleats.
There you go. There you go. Sweep the pleats. Sweep the pleats. Wax on, wax off. Sweep the pleats.
Erik's on.
That's a thing. That's going to be a thing now. Sweep the pleats. Love it. Remember, sweep the pleats.
We have to get Miyagi. We need a clip of Miyagi.
I want us
overdub vocals. Sweep the pleats, or just the pleats.
I want you in a kilt doing
crane thing.
The crane thing, yeah.
With underwear on.
Well, I don't know. Oh man. Let's
not with a sporran.
out.
Don't wear a sporran if you do the crane kick. You will hurt yourself.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Maybe you could use a sporran like nunchucks though. Have 2 sporrans on a chain and just kind of like do that.
More of a mace effect.
Yeah, it would be more. Brendan, I wish I could give you more solid advice, but that's basically what I would try. See if you can turn so that you're facing away from the cabin, or the cab rather, when you get out of the truck. You know, that might be the best way, and just figure out where your handholds are so you don't have to think about it every time you do it.
I will say this, a random aside. I don't wear a sporran if I'm driving long range, more than 10 minutes, 15 minutes. I will generally take my sporran off because I find it more comfortable to just be without sporran.
Yeah, but it's easy enough to clip it back on.
Yeah.
You know.
If you're in a truck, you have to do the whole back arch thing and try to clip it around.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I don't know. Hopefully you'll figure it out.
Absolutely. Good luck and Godspeed. Okay.
I'm going to do another one.
Yes, please.
All right, Tim was saying that he's just starting to think about getting into kilts. He's got varicose veins in his legs, and so he basically has to wear one of the knee-high compression sock things,
Yep.
I guess on at least the one leg. He doesn't want to look ridiculous. He's worried that compression socks are going to look dumb with a kilt. What ideas can we offer him about how to help that?
First thing is, medical issues take precedence. So, form follows function. If you need to wear compression socks, wear compression socks.
Yeah.
Period. The only thing I would say to help camouflage it, if it were as you were, would be a pair of, we have like cotton kilt hose. Those will give a little bit more, or get a pair of maybe wider kilt hose where you can wear 2 layers, or just regular kilt hose. Just be aware that your shoes will be a little bit tighter if you have to wear. Oh, do compression socks go all the way down to the ankle?
I think it depends on
the foot?
It depends on the model. I think some are they're almost more like an ankle or a leg brace kind of a thing. They don't really have a foot. There are others that definitely go down and cover the whole
toes.
foot. Yeah, especially I think of the ones that, like for dealing with diabetes issues or something.
Okay.
But yeah, I think the cotton hose would probably be really good. And I would say the kilt hose are probably going to fit fairly normally because the compression sock does that. It compresses. So, the hose, it's not like you have this really thick layer that the hose are going to also be stretching on top of. It's going to be pretty close to your skin, the compression part is.
Yeah, it also depends. Did he say he had diabetes?
He did not specify. He said varicose veins.
Fair, varicose veins. All right. I'll take it around and answer somebody else's question who didn't ask. If you have large legs, if you're a larger guy, then the regular kilt hose on top of the compression socks may be a bit much. You're compressing a lot.
Maybe.
I don't know if they make lesser, like compressing, but like medium, light, heavy compression. If they have different levels of compressiveness.
I assume they probably do, but I don't know.
Yeah, then in that case, you may want to wear a lighter compression if you're also wearing socks on top.
Okay.
To keep some kind of circulation going.
Mm-hmm. But my default would be the cotton hose.
Yeah.
Because you'd be less likely to overheat. They do stretch and they look pretty good. So.
Yeah. And worst case scenario, they're cotton, so you can pull them a little bit to help loosen them a touch.
Yeah.
Yep. Cool. Very good.
All right. This is one we could wind up getting into a long discussion about, perhaps.
Us? Never.
Yeah, Lynn is making the comment that, I'll put it this way, he says, it seems like his kilts kind of multiply like rabbits in his closet. Says, how did I start off with a hiking kilt and end up with like a dozen kilts hanging in there? Inquiring minds want to know, do kilts multiply on their own in the closet?
If you are a serial kilter, basically the way I kind of came into it and how I end up with 40 plus kilts in my closet is it's a positive feedback loop. You finally get up the courage to wear a kilt, and you go out in your kilt, and you get a lot of positive feedback from the opposite sex. You get a lot of feedback from the same sex. You get a feedback from everybody about how awesome it is, and all of your fears of, oh my God, people are going to think I'm weird. People are going to say things. I'm going to be, beaten up or whatever. And then you find out it's not true. And you figure out that, oh my gosh, people actually really dig this. And people are like thinking I'm awesome just because of this.
And you're comfortable.
I haven't gotten there yet.
Yeah.
But the positive feedback loop of you look great will make you want to wear it more. And then the more you wear it, you're like, I can't just have one. I like that one too. And gee, I maybe should get a utility kilt.
Yep.
And I need a red one because I have all modern color tartan. And I need one of these. And oh, that one looks really neat too. And this one's a special occasion tartan. So you end up just kind of collecting things, and just like Lay's potato chips, you can't have just one. The more you get into it and appreciate it and dig it, and especially if you have an addictive personality, you want to get more of them and you want to have options. And if you're a clothes horse, there's a lot of different reasons why you can kind of get into it and jump in with both feet, as it were.
Yeah. Kilts are more fun than any other clothing out there. They're incredibly comfortable, incredibly flexible, versatile, and there's a huge variety of them, from the whole spectrum, including the contemporary down to the bluffo traditional. Even just with the traditional, you got all the tartans. So it's just a lot of fun. And and there is something to be said for wanting to have a number of them so that you're not putting excess wear and tear on any particular one kilt. I have a few that are favorites I wear more often than others, and they're starting to show it. They're starting to get a little worn around the edges.
Yep.
There's all kinds of rationales for collecting them. But in the end, it's just like collecting swords or guns or minifigures or whatever. It's a collectible, fun thing to have. And so, yeah. It's
you're addicted.
You just need a bigger closet. That's the problem.
You're addicted when you have a tartan that you love and it's been discontinued, or not even discontinued, but you're afraid you might eventually wear it out, so you get another one of the same tartan. Or you have a 5-yard wool kilt in a tartan, and you're like, you know what? I also need an 8-yard. And I may need a vest in it too. Yeah.
You sound like you speak from experience.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Hon, I only have one of every tartan that I have.
Right.
I have I have County Kildare, the County Crest Kildare is discontinued, and I have a kilt in it, and I have fabric sitting on the shelf for when that one runs out.
Okay.
I kept the last of it so that I get to make the last one.
There you go. Slight advantage there. Yeah. So just, pace yourself.
No,
but
don't pace yourself.
Okay, don't pace yourself.
Do all of it all the time as fast as possible.
And send us all your money.
Well, that too. But
we joke about we should have a kilt of the month club. I swear it's like that sometimes.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, just enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it.
Life is short.
Exactly.
As long as you're not mortgaging your home.
Yeah, but even if you are, no, but it's going to a good place. My son needs to go to college.
We got this building repairs.
We have a small building, building project going on.
No, but it's life. You're right. Life is short. Enjoy it. Do what you want. Do what makes you happy within reasons that you're not, sacrificing other things that make you happy, like, eating. But at the same time, enjoy it. And if you dig kilts, or if you dig whatever you're into, whatever your hobby is, whatever you're affectionate towards, have at it.
Yeah. This whole culture is nothing if it's not about passion.
Yeah.
So, lean into it.
Well phrased.
You're welcome.
We are nothing if we're not about passion.
Right on. Can I do another one?
Yes, please.
Okay. All right. Kilt storage. Jim was saying he doesn't often hear people talking about the method of hanging the kilt on a peg using the 2 loops, which you find installed in traditional kilts. As far as he knows, that's how Highland regiments tend to store their kilts when they're in the barracks. I have no data on that, but is there any potential problem with storing a kilt that way, long-term or short-term?
Sure.
I believe he did get some answers to this on the Kilts and Culture Facebook group already, but happy to chime in. anyway.
That sounds like a wonderful group, Eric.
It is a wonderful group.
Tell me more.
Well, golly, we have something like over 8,000 members, which has now made us the largest kilts group on the web.
8,000?
Over 8,000.
8,000, you say?
Yes.
Wow.
And I encourage all of you guys who are sitting back and watching to go ahead and post because, like any group, it's going to be better the more people are lending variety to it. So, get in there and dive in and enjoy. And if you haven't joined yet, sign up. Come on in. The water's fine.
We got one rule. Well, not one. We have 9. But the number 1 rule in the group, don't be a jerk.
Yep.
That's it.
And it works.
Yes. What was the question again?
A lot of traditional kilts come with those
little loops. Yeah.
Can you actually store a kilt on those? And I want to throw this to Mac, too, if he knows from a historical standpoint, if they ever...
I had Rocky get first, because we did have a customer just recently in the store that was talking about something very similar.
Okay.
So I'll see where Rocky goes with it first.
Go for it. Okay.
In a traditional kilt, a lot of kilts made in Scotland. We don't do it in ours, but a lot of kilts made in Scotland. On the inside, on the far right and far left, basically either side of the pleated section, there's going to be a little cloth loop that will stick out above the top of the kilt. You can use those loops when you hang up the kilt. If you connect it like you're wearing it, you can hang them on a traditional shirt hanger. They have the little notches on the top for women's strap or little strap dresses.
Yeah, women's
kind
skirts
of things.
have loops like that in them too.
Yeah, exactly. It's kind of similar to that. The problem is in a kilt, they're a lot heavier of a garment. And if you hang a kilt from those straps and you hang it for an extended period of time, you're going to end up with what's called pleat splay, S-P-L-A-Y, where the pleats just kind of, instead of hanging straight down, there's no support up at the top when you're hanging them on the loops. So they kind of, the top of the kilt kind of sags, and then the pleats kind of do this. They spread out at the bottom, and then they end up kind of sitting in your closet like that for an extended period of time. And if you only wear your kilt once every year, once every couple years, you're going to end up having a slightly deformed kilt, or the pleats will hang a little odd across the back. It won't come from the widest part of your rear end and hang straight down. They'll kind of hang a little cattywampum.
Yeah.
The kilt hangers, or the way that we suggest people hang a kilt if you want to hang it, is what we actually sell are kilt hangers, which have 4 clips across the top. That way, the kilt is supported the entire way across the top. Therefore, you're less likely to have it sag and have the pleat splay issue. Mr. Mack, did you want to add to that?
What I was going to say is we had a customer come in the store. He has one of our hangers with the four grippies on it. He had an 8-yard Premier kilt. So with the weight of the kilt and traveling, it fell off the hanger.
Oh.
So what he was considering was trying to figure out if there's a way that he could use those loops to go over the hanger as he's putting the hanger on it to be able to support it there as kind of a backup.
Okay.
I mean, that's really the only time that I would see anything like that as far as traveling goes.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen some images. Again, I'm really speaking from military War I, War II period. Some images of them on a hanger like that, but a lot of times they're just kind of folded and laid flat.
Yeah. Did they fold or roll?
I've seen laid flat for the most part.
Okay.
Yeah. The luckily, slipping off the hanger isn't something that we experience a lot of.
Yeah.
If it's a very, very heavy kilt or a very big guy, or the fabric is, if it's been dry cleaned a lot and kind of loses any, grippiness, and it's like kind of gets slippery over the 10th or 20th time dry cleaning, then I could see maybe. In that instance, generally I tell guys use 2 of the hangers, so that you're actually supporting the weight on the back.
Which is what we suggested for him to do then.
Yeah. I agree.
The only time that I suggest using those, 2 little cloth loops on the inside of the kilt is if you're in a public restroom and you have to go number 2 and you want to take the kilt off and hang it on the hook on the back of the door. That way you're not getting your kilt on the back of the toilet or in any kind of mess that's in the public restroom.
The one other use I've put them to was once in a while I have used those loops to hang up a kilt on a hanger or a bar even in a hotel room while I was drying it. Like if it was sweaty, damp because of me being out of the festival or dancing at a wedding reception or something, and I just want it to air dry. It's kind of like, oh, I can hang this right over the air conditioner, and let it air dry. But that's like
Fair.
a very temporary
Yeah.
tool. I certainly wouldn't do that at home.
Now, that being said, I will say, A, if you're going to do it, only do it temporary.
Yeah.
B, but that is a potentially worse time to do it
Because it's wet. Yeah.
It's wet,
Yeah,
and
you're
it's warm and it's wet. So now
I'm
it's
increasing
sagging.
the likelihood.
You're
Yeah,
increasing
okay.
the likelihood in a short period of time.
I probably shouldn't do that, should I?
No, like when I go out, and end up at a wedding or whatever, and you're sweaty at the end of the night, I'll just lay it on the back of a chair, open.
Yeah,
so
and I've done
it airs
that.
out.
I think that's I've done that too.
It's you have the advantage in hanging it of getting the air to both sides versus laying it, on the back of a chair flat.
I'm
kind
talking
of thing.
like a half an hour.
Yeah.
Hang up, but
Yeah.
yeah. But that's why we don't include them in kilts that we make. It's just I think they're a survival of when people were buying a kilt and getting it for special occasions only, the way you do in Scotland a lot of the time. And they are kind of everybody's assuming you're going to hang it on a skirt hanger the way women hang skirts on skirt hangers, so they provide the loops because that's what you do.
Yeah.
But it's kind of outmoded with modern spring clip technology.
Yeah.
Or just lay it flat or roll it.
Yeah,
So.
I'd agree with that.
Yeah. Okay. I do not. Okay, this is a geeky one for you, and this will chew up the last 20 minutes of our discussion. So I almost hesitate to do it. Yes,
What?
you. Yeah, I'm gonna give you a chance to really nerd out here. I do not have the name of the person who asked this. However, follow me for a second. We all know that tartans are recorded by color and thread count, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just a basic code of the thread count and the colors. So if you scale the thread counts up or down evenly, does it then become a different tartan? Here's an example. Like, say, tartan A has 4 lines of blue, 2 white, 6 green, 4 red. Okay? If you
double those
if you
numbers.
then so you have 8 blue, 4 white, 12 green, 8 red, is it a different tartan then?
This actually will not take 20 minutes.
Oh, okay.
This will take 30 seconds.
Oh, it really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nope.
All right.
It's
And thank you for watching.
thank you. Good night. No, it's not a different tartan. If you are proportionately scaling a tartan, it doesn't matter whether the scale is 1 inch or 24 inches. It's the same tartan.
Set size increases.
The set size will increase.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
The tartan, it's more about the look of the pattern, and if you design a tartan and submit it to the Scottish Tartan Registry, they will basically see if it looks like anything else that's already out there, and it has to be different enough. It's the enough. In U.S. copyright law, the rule of thumb, for lack of a better term, is about 10%. It has to be changed enough so that I'm not confusing it with something else. So, similar kind of guideline, roughly-ish, in Highland wear and tartans, is that it has to look different enough from another thing.
Okay.
So just making the tartan bigger doesn't make it different. A Lamborghini Matchbox car and an actual full-size Lamborghini are both Lamborghinis.
It's still going to look like a Lamborghini.
It's going to look like a Lamborghini.
Okay.
That's the point. So in that aspect, it won't matter whether the set size is tiny or big. Now, to make it different, if you are, and I'll even go so far as this. You said, like, if it's 4 green and they change that to 8 green.
Yeah.
If you double all of the things, but you change from 4 to 10 green as opposed to 4 to 8, it's still not enough of a difference.
Okay.
Just by altering. You have to have a reasonably visible alteration to make it a different tartan entirely.
Okay.
If from 10 feet, a tartan aficionado will recognize it as black watch, just because you made one thread one different, it doesn't matter. It's still black watch. That's not good enough. This is. I'll bring in a story where I was disappointed. Was that two stories? There was. I told you
this would take 20 minutes.
Okay, I'm making it take 20 minutes now. I designed a tartan called the German Heritage Tartan. And there was a mill over in the UK who held a contest or something to design the Great Scott Mac. Do you remember what the name of it was?
I was trying
the
to remember
Greatest
it right now.
Scott or the Great Scott Tartan or something like that.
Yeah.
And the design that won was literally the German Heritage Tartan with like one color changed. And I was furious.
Wow.
And called the mill, I saw it come through the register, and the mill had it, in their offerings. And I was just like, really? That's close enough to be its own new tartan? And they're like, yep. So the register passed it, and I was furious that something that similar to my design was accepted. Another one I'll point out was the restaurant chain, the Tilted Kilt, have their own registered tartan. They basically took Royal Stewart, and there's a white line and a yellow line, a white and yellow stripe in Royal Stewart, and they reversed the lines. It still looks I think that's what they actually did. It still looks like Royal Stewart, but they copyrighted it and they got it in the register for something so simple. They just flipped two of the minor stripes in the tartan, and they got it passed. And I think that's complete BS. That is, they took the most recognizable tartan in the world, aside from Blackwatch, changed two minor things, changed nothing else, and it was registered.
Wow.
That's horse pucky.
Wow. That's,
yeah.
Wow.
So, point is, you have to change it, has to be changed a reasonable amount. Changing the set size isn't good enough to make an entire new tartan. You have to change elements of the design. Or apparently, in the case of my copy, one element.
Wow.
Yes.
So sorry.
But I'm, not angry about it at all.
I'm not bitter.
No,
it was only 8 years ago.
Yeah. Brought up bad memories. Very good.
You'll get like
Mr. Mack.
All right, so we did have some questions about the building, how the new construction's going. So I didn't know if you, since we're still a little time, if you wanted to just do a little.
Sure. Construction is going.
Ta-da!
Coughing up concrete dust on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's working. I don't know anyone out there who has worked in a construction site during construction, not on the crew, but tried to do things in the construction site. It is difficult. Like anything, there's challenges. But ultimately, we're getting there. Currently, second story is up. The roof is, all the framing's done. The rooms are all framed out. All the wires are run. The roof is on.
Oh, all the electric wires
all the electrics run.
Okay.
Yep. They
Good.
just
Cool.
they started running the lines for the upstairs electric yesterday, I think. So we're getting there. It's going to look awesome when we're done. We will have a grand reopening, even though we're not closed. It's just a big party.
Yeah.
So we will, keep you guys updated on that. But yeah, we're getting there. It's a challenge. It's the staff, the kilt makers have put up with a lot.
Yeah. So have the sales guys in the warehouse. It's been been pretty rough.
Trying to hear customers on the phone with jackhammers going off and people, cursing and screaming, construction workers or, drilling things and, screw guns and whatnot. It's challenging. But at the same time, I'm happy that we're working here during it so we can make minor adjustments on the fly. Like that outlet needs to be there, or I forgot I need another thing over here.
I think Kevin and the other contractors are probably somewhat pleased about that too, because if they have a question, they don't have to wait for a response or anything. They just blur like, "Hey, Rocky, what do you think about this?" It's communication's great, and we have a great team. The guys who are doing the work are fantastic. Yeah, and they were actually very, very. Contractors are not used to working in a building where they're having to dance around the people that are working there. So the fact that they even allowed us to stay in the building while they're doing all the renovations is key. Yeah. The one thing that the on-the-fly decision that I've made that I was probably the most pleased about, I did yesterday was, hey, we need a red light for outside the studio so people know if we're recording. Because over here, there's no one in this building aside from us. Can we have a sign like Art Deco that says on air and it flashes?
No, it was going to say stay the F out. Stay out.
But Art Deco, stay the fuck out.
So yeah, in all, the construction's going well. We're pleased with how it's going. should be done the upstairs the middle of July, and then the downstairs beginning to middle of August. So, yeah, then we'll have the grand reopening at some point a few weeks after that.
Yeah, thank you for asking.
Yeah.
We really appreciate that everybody is interested in us doing this because it's amazing.
Yeah.
It's really awesome.
And without customers and people coming onto our channel, coming to the store, supporting us, we couldn't do this and we couldn't do that.
Yeah.
So we do appreciate it.
Yay!
Yeah, and one thing we may want to point out is that in 2 weeks is the Celtic Fling weekend at the Pennsylvania Renaissance Fair, which we normally set up at, but due to all the construction and everything, we unfortunately will not be able to be out there this time around. But
if you're your local peeps, sorry.
Yeah,
just come on and visit.
Hubbub.
On the other hand, we have a tradition of people going to big events like steampunk expos in Jersey, or the PA Ren Fair, or the Maryland Ren Fair, or Pensic War, or anything, and basically making a detour to our shop to get that last-minute kilt or that last-minute sporran before they head out to the big event. So, by all means, come and tell us what adventure you're going on. We'll be happy to talk to you and help you out.
Yeah. All right, we'll do one more from you and one more from the audience.
Okay.
You
want me to go first?
Yeah, I want to do the one somebody asked about the holes in the kilt.
Yeah,
I want to do that one.
Very, and again, this is someone I do not have their name, but they had asked. They had noticed that there's a row of tiny holes in the bottom of the hem of the kilt, like dot 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 dot. Little zigzag of punch holes in that, and they're wondering what that's about.
Sure.
So,
when a kilt is different from most garments of clothing and most things, in that when you make a kilt, you're actually using the bottom edge of the cloth, the finished edge. If you buy suit fabric, for instance, you'll often cut the pattern pieces out of the center of the fabric and not use the very edge. In a kilt, you're actually using the very edge of the cloth. When the cloth is woven at the mill, it's woven, and then they take the finished, the piece of fabric, and they send it to the finishers. And the finishers heat the cloth, they wet the cloth, they treat it, and they're basically setting it so that it's not going to shrink when you iron it and when you do different things to it. So they're setting the cloth to its final resting place.
Solidifying it.
Yeah, solidifying
getting the fibers to kind of
exactly.
intermesh and lock together.
Yeah, and part of that process is they actually put the fabric, these little hooks, grab the edges of the fabric, and they don't stretch it, but they hold it taut so that they can, treat the fabric and wash it and, put it through its paces at the finishers. And they're actually putting it on tenter hooks, the little hooks that grab the edge of the cloth. The little holes are from those tenter hooks. They are an artifact of the weaving process. So there's little kind of zigzag shaped holes running right along the edge of the kilt. Those are on, whether it's wool cloth, whether it's polyviscose, whether it's single width, double width, it doesn't matter. Those holes on a kilt will be there. Unless it's unfinished, unless they, just do like old-timey natural fabric and they don't send it to a finisher's, which nobody really does professionally. Yeah. Anyway, so those holes will not get bigger. They will shrink a little bit over time. They may disappear, they may not, but they are there as an artifact of the weaving process. It's not going to fray. It's not going to get worse. The only way to get rid of them is to hem the bottom of the kilt.
Well, why don't you hem the kilt then?
I'm so glad you asked.
Why don't you hem kilts? Just cut that junk off.
Because you want the natural finished edge at the bottom. The pleats, think about it this way, the pleats are one layer of fabric all the way down to the bottom of the kilt.
Okay.
If you hem it, you are doubling the thickness at the very bottom. Therefore, you're going to have a lump about 1.5 inches or 2 inches up on the bottom of the kilt. Mm-hmm. So that lump is more difficult to press. You kind of have to press it from the inside. You want to make sure all the tartan lines match up exactly, or else they end up skewing a little bit on the bottom. If you iron it from the top, you can actually get a hot spot. You can actually shine the fabric right where that transition is from the thicker layers to the single layers. So hemming a kilt is not ideal. Some kilts have to be hemmed. Some kilts come with a lino edge or like a fringed edge on the bottom of the cloth, that it's not a traditional kilting selvage. So that you have to serge, you cut the bottom off, and then hem it. It's not ideal, but you can do it. It's okay. It'll look better than, a fringed bottom, but it's not ideal. The ideal is to leave a nice traditional kilting selvage or a tuck-in selvage, which is basically the yarn is cut about an inch or a centimeter past the bottom edge of the kilt or material, and then tucked back in. Either one of those is better than a hemmed kilt, and all of it will have those little zigzag holes. But don't worry about it. They're nothing. No one is going to really see it aside from you upon very, very close inspection. And over time, they will kind of relax a little bit. You can steam iron them a little bit if it really bothers you to try to get them to shrink up a touch, but it's not going to get worse. It's one of those things where it kind of is what it is. It's how it is. Try not to worry about it.
Okay.
Cool. Mr. Mack, you look like you want to say something over there.
No, you were right. You went hit all the notes that we hit it with the iron as we're doing it, and yeah, some of them do seal up a little bit better than others, but I think more so it stands out on the PV a lot more than the wool for the most part.
Because synthetic.
Yeah, just because of the material you're dealing with.
Yeah.
But yeah,
It is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. So, don't worry yourself about it.
You had
Very
one
good.
more?
The only thing I was going to say is now that we're getting into summer months, we're getting a lot of warmer months now. We've talked about the difference between 13 and 16 ounce and PV. Is there any other tips that we can give guys that maybe they're getting ready, they're going to be going out, they're going to be sweating in the kilt? Any tips to help keep things cool, keep things relaxed, like
Aerated.
Ice cubes.
Yeah.
Air conditioner backpack with a tube up the kilt. Yeah.
Yep.
No, ultimately, if you're going to be wearing a kilt, whether it's synthetic fabric, PV, acrylic, whether it's wool, whether it's 16 ounce or 13 ounce, it, to a degree, in my mind, doesn't matter a whole lot. Much more, what matters to me much more is your headwear and your torso. If you have on a black jacket or a black long sleeve shirt that's, a Highland shirt that's made of, a polyester fabric, you're going to sweat more than if you have on a white t-shirt or a linen shirt or something with an 8-yard kilt. You're going to sweat more in a black Balmoral than you're going to be if you don't have a hat on or if you have a linen hat on or something like that. It's just common sense, and your headwear and what you're wearing up top matter a lot more than what you're actually wearing in a kilt.
Yep. In a nutshell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a certain amount of, a casual kilt that's 4.5 yards or 5 yards is going to be a little bit cooler, and a 12 ounce or 11 ounce fabric is going to be a little bit lighter than 16 ounce 8-yard kilts. But it's the degrees of difference, no pun intended, are going to be smaller. It's really going to matter less. If I'm wearing a black jacket and a black hat with a casual kilt, I'm going to be hotter than if I'm wearing a white t-shirt and a linen cap or no cap with an 8-yard wool kilt.
Yeah. Basically, that's it.
Okay. Mr. Mack, any other final thoughts, sir? Questions, comments, concerns?
No.
You want more scotch?
We still have how much of the bottles left over there?
We got enough.
Absolutely.
We got enough.
Mm-hmm.
We got enough for me, at least. I don't know about you guys. All right,
Very
one
good.
more?
Yeah, we'll do one more.
All right.
We'll make it an even 2 hours.
Sounds good. Greg Murray was saying, is it proper to wear a Clan Crest pin, or I think he means badge, or other Celtic-Style brooch, his words, as a kilt pin?
Okay, so like a non-sword shape.
I think that's what he means. Yeah, basically
Yeah.
something like round,
Circular or oval or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's personal preference. If there's a pin that means something to you, you can wear an oval pin or a circle pin or whatever. Traditional, well, I shouldn't say traditionally. Most, because I don't know how traditional it is, but most kilt pins that you're going to see out there are long and skinny. You're going to see a lot of sword shapes, a lot of, tall, skinny things like our Fender kilt pin, or they're all
Our
tall
Mjolnir
and
kilt pin?
most kilt pins are tall and skinny, not circular or not wide. That being said, there's nothing saying you can't do it. It's not the end of the world. People will not string you up by your heels and, flog you for wearing a Clan Crest cap badge as a kilt pin.
Yeah. And as we often say, if it's a round shape, you might want to put it a little higher up on the apron than down towards closer to the bottom hem, the way you do, or the bottom edge, the way you do with a sword-shaped kilt pin. It just kind of looks more pleasing to the eye if it's a little higher up on your thigh, closer to the hip. And if you look at vintage photographs, you'll see is what people have done. On the off weird chance that he meant like using a plaid brooch or something.
That's too big.
That's too big.
Yeah.
So yeah, a Celtic brooch, like cloak brooch kind of a thing, not a good idea. It shouldn't be any bigger than
2 inches.
Cap badge.
About 2 inches. If it's going to be a circle, I'd say 2 inches to 2.25 in diameter is about the right size. You don't want it to overpower the front of the kilt. Ultimately, the kilt pin is just a little piece of bling, a little art for the front of the kilt to give it some visual interest and a little bit of weight to keep it down in the corner so it doesn't blow up.
Yeah.
You don't want to have a massively heavy thing on the front apron. And to that point as well, if it's a big, heavy brooch, it's going to hanging most of them from a single pin, and that can actually pull at the wool fibers and create a bigger hole. So that's another reason why you don't want to do it. And it's not, it's not a cod piece. You don't want to have a huge thing. It's not a shield on the front of your kilt.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's meant to be an accent piece to the sporran and to your outfit. It's not meant to be a centerpiece.
Yeah. There you go.
I like that.
I like that.
Phrasing.
Yeah, that's good.
Feel good about that.
Yeah. Cool.
Very good. All right, boys and girls. Thank you for joining us. For those that don't know, we do this once a month, generally the first Friday of every month over on our Facebook page.
Mm-hmm.
And until next time.
Hang on. Let's remember also that we've been a little off kilter with our scheduling because of the construction. If we've thrown you off on your expectations of when to see our shows, we apologize, but we are trying to make sure we're getting back to the first Friday schedule for the Q&As on Facebook, and then the second week?
Second Friday.
Third Friday of the month for our Exploring Perspectives show, which is naturally on YouTube, but we do preserve everything so you can watch it elsewhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
So two shows each month.
Yeah, we cross-pollinate.
Yep.
Yes. So, for those of you watching this on YouTube, please subscribe to our channel. For those of you watching on Facebook, like, follow, all that stuff. Share us on Instagram and like us on Pinterest.
And
pin us and
Tinder.
Yes.
And, no, not Tinder.
Do not swipe right. Which is the good one? Swipe right?
I don't know.
I don't know why. Who knows? I don't know. I'm married. I'm too old for this.
Yeah, I don't think we'd sell many kilts there somehow.
No. Anyway, it's been a long day.
Yeah.
Thank you for hanging in there with us, boys and girls.
Yep.
Until next time.
Slanjava.
Sweep the pleats. You have a problem with that?
No, Rocky.
No wrinkles.